Republic Act No. 9394. March 16, 2007. An act converting the municipality of Borongan in the province of Eastern Samar into a component city to be known as the City of Borongan. Article 4. The Sangguniang Panlungsod. 7. Adopt a comprehensive land use plan for the city and ensure that the formulation, adoption or modification of said plan shall be in coordination within the approved provincial comprehensive land use plan. 8. Reclassify lands within the jurisdiction of the city, subject to the pertinent provisions of the Local Government Code of 1991. 9. Enact integrated zoning ordinance in consonance with the approved comprehensive land use plan, subject to existing laws, rules, and regulations. Establish the limits of zones, particularly in populous centers. And regulate the construction, repair, or modification of buildings within said fire limits or zones in accordance with the provisions of the Fire Code. X. Subject to national law, process, and approve subdivision plans for residential, commercial or industrial purposes and other development purposes, and to collect processing fees and other charges, the proceeds of which shall accrue entirely to the city. Provided, however, that where approval of a national agency or office is required, said approval shall not be withheld for more than 30 days from receipt of application. Failure to act on the application within the period stated above shall be deemed as approval thereof. 11. Subject to the provisions of Book 2 of the Local Government Code of 1991. Grant the exclusive privilege of constructing fish corrals or fish pens or the taking or catching of bangus fry or kawag, or fry of any species of fish within the city waters. 12. With the concurrence of at least 2/3 of all the members of the Sangguniang Panlungsod, grant tax exemptions, incentives or reliefs to entities engaged in community growth-inducing industries, subject to the provisions of the Local Government Code of 1991. 13. Grant loans or provide grants to other local government units or to national, provincial, and city charitable, benevolent or educational institutions, provided that said institutions are operated and maintained within the city. 14. Regulate the numbering of residential, commercial, and other buildings, and 15. Regulate the inspection, weighing and measuring of articles of commerce. 3. Subject to the provisions of the Local Government Code of 1991, enact ordinances granting franchises and authorizing the issuance of permits or licenses, upon such conditions and for such purposes intended to promote the general welfare of the inhabitants of the city and, pursuant to this legislative authority, shall I. Fix and impose reasonable fees and charges for all services rendered by the city government to private persons or entities. 2. Regulate and fix license fees for any business or practice of profession within the city and the conditions under which the license for said business or practice of profession may be revoked and enact ordinances levying taxes thereon. 3. Provide for and set the terms and conditions under which the public utilities owned by the city shall be operated by the city government and prescribe the conditions under which the same may be leased to private persons or entities, preferably cooperatives. 4. Regulate the display of and fix the license fees for signs, signboards, or billboards at the place or places where the profession or business advertised thereby is, in whole or in part, conducted. V. Any law to the contrary notwithstanding, authorize and license the establishment, operation, and maintenance of cockpit and regulate cockfighting and the commercial breeding of gamecocks, provided that existing rights should not be prejudiced. 6. Subject to the guidelines prescribed by the Department of Transportation and Communications. Regulate the operation of tricycles and grant franchises for the operation thereof within the territorial jurisdiction of the city, and 7. Upon approval by a majority vote of all the members of the Sangguniang Panlungsod, grant a franchise to any person, partnership, corporation or cooperative to do business within the city as may be allowed by existing laws, provided that cooperatives shall be given preference in the grant of such franchise. 4. Regulate activities relative to the use of land, buildings, and structures within the city in order to promote the general welfare and, for the said purpose, shall I. Declare, prevent, or abate any nuisance. 2. With the concurrence of a majority of the members of the Sangguniang Panlungsod, a quorum being present. Deny the entry pf legalized gambling by ordinance into any part of the city or regulate its location in the city. 3. Require that buildings and the premises thereof and any land within the city be kept and maintained in a sanitary condition, impose penalties for any violation thereof. Or, upon failure to comply with said requirement, have the work done at the expense of the owner, administrator, or tenant concerned. Or require the filling up of any lands or premises to a grade necessary for proper sanitation. 4. Regulate the disposal of clinical and other wastes from hospitals, clinics, and other similar establishments. v. Regulate the establishment, operation, and maintenance of cafes, restaurants, beer houses, hotels, motels, inns, pension houses, lodging houses and other similar establishments, including tourist guides and transports. 6. Regulate the sale, giving away or dispensing of any intoxicating malt, vino, mixed or fermented liquors at any retail outlets. 7. Regulate the establishment and provide for the inspection of steam boilers or any heating device in buildings and the storage of inflammable and highly combustible materials within the city. 8. Regulate the establishment, operation, and maintenance of any entertainment or amusement facilities, including the theatrical performances, circuses, billiard pools, public dancing schools, public dance halls, sauna baths, massage parlors, and other places for entertainment and amusement. Regulate such other events or activities for amusement or entertainment, particularly those which tend to disturb the community or annoy the inhabitants. Or require the suspension or suppression of the same, or prohibit certain forms of amusement or entertainment in order to protect the social and moral welfare of the community. 9. Regulate the establishment, operation, and maintenance of funeral parlors and the burial or cremation of the dead, subject to existing laws, rules, and regulations, and x. Provide for the impounding of stray animals, regulate the keeping of animals in homes or as part of a business, and the slaughter, sale, or disposition of the same, and adopt measures to prevent and penalize cruelty to animals. 5. Approve ordinances which shall ensure the efficient and effective delivery of the basic services and facilities as provided for under the Local Government Code of 1991 and, in addition to said services and facilities, shall I. Provide for the establishment, maintenance, protection, and conservation of communal forests and watersheds, tree parks, green belts, mangroves and other similar forest development projects. 2. Establish markets, slaughterhouses, or animal corrals and authorize the operation thereof by the city government. And regulate the construction and operation of private markets, talipapas or other similar buildings and structures. 3. Authorize the establishment, maintenance, and operation by the city government of ferries, wharves and other structures intended to accelerate productivity related to marine and seashore or offshore activities. 4. Regulate the preparation and sale of meat, poultry, fish, vegetables, fruits, fresh dairy products and other foodstuffs for public consumption. v. Regulate the use of streets, avenues, alleys, sidewalks, bridges, parks, and other public places and approve the construction, improvement, repair and maintenance of the same. Establish bus and vehicle stops and terminals or regulate the use of the same by privately owned vehicles which serve the public, regulate garages and the operation of conveyances for hire. Designate stands to be occupied by public vehicles when not in use. Regulate the putting up of signs, signposts, awnings, and awning posts on the streets. And provide for the lighting, cleaning and sprinkling of streets and public places.